I mean, this is our first time chatting with you. Just tell us a little bit about coming up here. What made you want to take this job?
Yeah, so I'd worked with Elijah Robinson at Texas A&M, and then spoke with Coach Fran a couple times on the phone leading up to it, and have worked with some other people that have worked with Coach Fran and only heard great things, right? Then obviously Syracuse speaks for itself, a good private university, and I was only 2 hours away, so that made it a little more convenient. So it seemed like a no-brainer for me to join this staff and get this thing going.
Was there anything that stood out to you about what Fran and Elijah maybe painted for what they want this defense to be?
Well, having worked with E in the past, right, like every defense has won a championship, right, and every defense has also gotten blown out, right? So less about like schematics and a little bit more about like the intensity, right, that we're going to play with, how we're going to run to the football, how we're going to demand our players to execute stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, the X's and O's they're whatever. It's how the players play the defense that makes a difference. So that was a big point of discussion. Like, it's whatever we're going to do. We're going to have to make that fit the players, right, schematically. But how we're going to play, right, is the difference.
What's been your initial thoughts of what you've seen from the defense, knowing you got a nice blend of newcomers and guys that have been here before?
Right, yeah, I've been really impressed with the guys, right, the intensity that they come with every day, right, from the day that we started, right, not just when we got to practice, but, in meetings earlier this spring and all of that stuff, like really, really pleased with the older guys, right, and then there's an urgency, intensity because of how the older guys behave that the younger guys have to follow, right, so the leaders on the team, Marlo, JB, all of those guys, Diggs coming from A&M, right, they've really set the tone of what it takes, like, to be good on defense, right? Because a lot of guys have experience there, and then the young guys see that, right? And then they have to mimic it because the standard's being held every day.
What has been your approach working with the linebackers to kind of figure out their strengths? I know Elijah Robinson has said that their scheme is going to cater to the players. So how have you started to kind of figure out what those strengths are in those players?
Yeah, so we're early in the stages of that, like only the second padded practice. But I've been really pleased with the linebackers, right? They come to work every day, right? We talk about getting better every single day, whether that's a meeting, whether that's a weight, lifting, whether that's running, whether that is practice, right? Just trying to get better every single day, right? And then we're out here evaluating everything, scheme, strengths, weaknesses, even what position necessary they need to be in. But just constantly evaluating, and that'll be going all the way through the last day of the last game this fall, right? So it's constantly evolving because, right, at some point you may realize that maybe what we were doing wasn't great, right? So we need to, constantly adjust and do what's best to put the players in position to make plays.
Is there anyone that stood out as like particularly versatile or who's been able to play multiple roles so far?
Yeah, so all of the linebackers are doing a lot of different things, different positions every day. We're constantly changing it, even from drill to drill, from play to play, stuff like that, just to see, right, when we put them in the different positions, who feels comfortable, right, who's able to, execute and do their job the best. So we're kind of forcing versatility on them right now, but everybody's standing out. Everybody's doing a great job so far.
What kind of leadership role do you envision Marlo having in this group?
Yeah, so he's obviously been successful, right? So, and he doesn't necessarily talk a ton, like he's not a super vocal leader, right? But what he does is he does everything right all day, right? So he's leading by example, right? But when he does speak, right, people listen, right? So I'd like to see him, continue to do the right thing every day because everybody's seen that, right? And then when he does talk, people listen. So just, you don't want to force somebody into a leadership role, right? They have to come by it naturally a little bit. So seeing him kind of do that and fit in, because we do have a lot of older guys that at different times can step in to take that leadership role. But when he does step up and say something, right, heads turn and people listen and take notice.
Coach Fran the other day was talking about Derek, and he really sees him evolving and stepping forward. What do you see from him?
Right, I've been really pleased with Derek. He obviously brings a physical presence, right, from his size, right. GPS-wise, number-wise, he's running really fast, like doing a lot of different things, right? He's intelligent, right? He comes in, he does extra meetings, he does all of that stuff. He's watching film, he's in my office, he's doing all of that stuff, and just continuing to take his game to the next level, right? I see him being able to compete to be one of the best linebackers that we have.
Coach Brown mentioned how impressed he was with you and your insight. What do you think steps out of your comfort zone as a coach? Like, what makes you a perfect fit for this program?
I think, like, about myself, what makes me a good fit, right? I've worked with E in the past, right? Obviously, he's the coordinator. but just fitting in and kind of all of us coming together and not putting our egos and like, oh, we've done this, we have to do it this way, right? Just kind of all collaborating and deciding what's ultimately the best thing for us to do as a defensive staff here at Syracuse. Not what I did at Buffalo, not what we did at Texas A&M, not what different coaches have done at these different programs. So just a humble attitude, always wanting to learn, right? Hear how the other people have done different things defensively, right? And ultimately deciding what is going to be the best for Syracuse defense.
It seems like the strength coaches have been very active and done a lot of good this couple months. So what have they brought specifically to the linebacker group in terms of like changing their bodies and getting them ready for what you guys are wanting to run?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone needs to get stronger. Everyone needs to get faster. So specifically what they've done, I've been in meetings, so I haven't necessarily been in there. But what I have seen is a very clear change in everyone in the on the defense and offense's bodies. Like the guys are dropping body fat percentages, they're maintaining weight and even gaining weight. So that's obviously muscle mass. They look a lot better, right? The leaner you are, the faster you can run, the less fat you're carrying around. So I've been thoroughly impressed with Coach Smith and that whole the whole strength staff, JB, Nick and Stacks. They've done a tremendous job so far. But that's kind of their world. I don't know what they're doing in there, but it looks like it's working. So I'm thrilled.
Bring two more.
Recruiting obviously is like the big thing with this coaching staff and
Right.
Coach Fran, but what's your approach to recruiting and your philosophy there?
My approach to recruiting is just being who I am, right? I am who I am, and it's not necessarily a fit for everybody. But I'm not going to show you a fake me, right, in recruiting so that when you do get here, ultimately, you're like, wait, who is this? Right, so I am who I am, right? I'm a football guy, right? I'm X's and O's, right? I don't have a family, so I'm invested in the players like 24/7, 365, right? To the point where they're like, dang, coach, like, give me a second. Like, it's Thursday night. Why are you calling me? But just being myself, not a rah-rah necessarily type of guy. It's just like, I'm going to get you better at football. I'm going to develop you. I've got a track record of taking guys and helping them succeed and become the best version of themselves, whatever that may be, whether that's the NFL, whether that's becoming a great father with a graduate degree and going and getting, a great job that is that. I've done that, and just telling them, like, I'm going to be here for you. I say, like, no one's going to care about you more than me. I'm going to be fully invested in you, and at the end of the day, if they feel like that's going to be a fit for them, right? And it's bigger than just me, right? It's our defensive staff. It's everybody, like, that's going to be there, because it's the college path and the college journey is not a straight line. Like, there's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys, right? So who do you want around you when you hit those valleys, when you have that tough Tuesday, whatever that is? It's going to come. Like, I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to have your back.
What is something that Coach Fran has done already, leading as a head coach, that's impressed you?
Yeah, I think his lack of fear of just being completely himself at all times, right? And then absolutely telling everyone the truth. Like, hey, you had a bad practice. Like, you need to get better, right? You can't come out here and do that again. You're wasting your opportunity, right? No fear to tell anyone, right? Whether that's the best player, whether that's the worst player, whoever that is, right? He's completely real 100% of the time. And I've come to appreciate that, like, not sugarcoating anything, not not like being fake or false love, right? He's just completely honest, completely real at all times. And I think people really feel that, as, when the recruits are here, like, they're not getting this like recruiting pitch. They're just getting Coach Fran. Right, the same way that he talks to our players in the team meeting is the same way that he addresses the recruits, right, on an unofficial visit or an official visit. So that's really sticks out to me, because in college football, there's not a lot of people who are just genuinely themselves when it comes to recruiting, and it shows. He's been wildly successful throughout his career, and looking forward to continuing that here.
Great.